Welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast, where it's all about fixing your relationship without your man's conscious efforts, that you feel desired, taken care of, and special, even if your relationship feels completely hopeless. I'm Laura Doyle, and today I'm talking about 4 ways to have deep conversations with your man. My guest, Connie's husband, was on his computer and phone all day. When he wasn't ignoring her, he was avoiding her. She wanted him to pay more attention to her and to help more, but instead, they argued a lot. Then she had some insights that propelled her into action, and today she says her marriage is amazing. She feels like the luckiest wife ever, and she tells her husband every day. She's going to share exactly what she did to make that happen, so you can do it too. Then I'll be giving out the Worst Relationship Advice of the Week award, which promises a science-backed reveal of the most important quality for happy relationships. All of that's coming up. But first, let's talk about 4 ways to have deep conversations with your man, even if your man won't talk about his feelings. It's natural to want to feel close to your man by sharing your feelings and hearing his feelings too. But what if he has no idea how to do that? What if you ask how he's feeling and he just shrugs and clams up? What if the only feeling he'll acknowledge is hunger? You know he has feelings, but he just won't talk about them, and you wonder if he's defective and maybe doesn't even know what he's feeling, which does not seem healthy. I used to worry about that with my husband, but then I learned a thing or two about a thing or two. And now that we have a reliable, tender, emotional connection, I realized I was going about things all wrong. Here's how to know what your husband is feeling. Number 1, stop asking him how he feels. I know it seems like a very basic human skill to say how you feel, and sometimes your husband will express a feeling, but rarely when you're asking him to. When I used to ask my husband how he felt, he said it made him feel uncomfortable to be put on the spot like that. He felt like a deer in the headlights and couldn't think of anything to say. In other words, it made him defensive, which meant I had a better chance of connecting, which is what I really wanted, if I never asked. Turns out it's not just my husband. Remember that earth-shattering study they did at the University of Toronto where they found out that women are more emotional than men? Turns out women have the gift of emotional brilliance, whereas feelings are not very comfortable as a topic for men. Therefore, turning my inquiry to how I feel has created the connection I crave more than asking him how he feels, which I don't do anymore. Why would I? It never got me what I wanted. I hear the same thing from thousands of women I've worked with. Number 2, give him the floor. Another way to find out what's on your husband's mind is to make an effort to give him some dedicated airtime. One great way to do that is to say simply, I hear you, when he's talking. Nothing else. Just let him know that you're paying attention to what he's saying. You might add, You may be surprised to hear how much he has to say when you try this exercise, which isn't as easy as it sounds. You'll likely feel tempted to jump in with suggestions or reassurance or to share a similar experience. But if you can manage to only listen, you'll create emotional safety, which will motivate him to want to open up to you even more. Listening involves not just accurately hearing what your husband says, but also hearing who he is and how he views life, what concerns he has, what he thinks about. It won't be the same way you think. But learning to respect other ways of thinking also helps you develop a deeper acceptance and appreciation for your own. Number 3, listen for his heart message. Although it's often overlooked, listening is a vital skill for emotional connection. One way to listen is to look for a heart message. A heart message is a statement that sounds like one thing on the surface, but means something else when you probe a little deeper. Your husband may not be explicit about his emotions, but you'll hear his vulnerability and his truth if you listen well. Heart messages are sometimes hidden under what sounds like a complaint, but if you can develop your skill to hear what's underneath, you'll not only have better connection, you'll feel more loved. You'll also create a culture of tenderness and safety. One woman noticed her husband was grumbling about money a lot and how he had to work so hard to earn it. At first, she was annoyed that he was complaining so much, but then she wisely listened for his heart message. Why would he be complaining about having to work? She suspected he was trying to say, I want to feel appreciated. Instead of dismissing him or rolling her eyes, she told him how happy and grateful she was that he worked so hard to support the family. She was amazed when her husband immediately relaxed. He seemed relieved that she got him. The connection between them grew stronger in that exchange, even though he never said how he felt. Listening with your heart will not only enhance your marriage, it can improve your relationships with family and friends too. Number 4, know that he feels deeply too. Monique told the story of being in a terrible mood and feeling irritated by her husband because he wouldn't just let her be. Although she had been practicing intimacy skills for a while, she was just not at her best that morning. And they had been bickering on and off all morning when she finally said, Why won't you just leave me alone? He bravely responded, Because I'm scared. Luckily, there was some emotional safety in the bank at Monique's house, and he let her know exactly how he felt, but not because she'd asked him. Even if they don't talk about it much, my experience is that big, strong men also feel hurt, unappreciated, scared, and vulnerable in their relationships. Mine sure did before I learned what I know now about how to have a playful, passionate relationship. I was slow to realize it, I'm sorry to say. It was so much easier to restore the connection once I learned how to listen with my heart. If you're wondering how to get started with fixing your relationship and making it shiny again, then you need a roadmap. Get 6 simple steps to follow that will set your relationship up for success. Discover 3 common mistakes that wives make trying to fix their relationship that just make things worse when you download my free Adored Wife Roadmap. You can do that at getcherished.com. Go to getcherished.com now to get your roadmap in minutes. My guest, Connie's husband, was on his computer and his phone all day, and when he wasn't ignoring her, he was avoiding her. She wanted him to pay more attention to her and to help more, but instead, they argued a lot. Then she had some insights that propelled her into action, and today, she says her marriage is amazing. She feels like the luckiest wife ever, and she tells her husband every day. She's going to share exactly what she did to make that happen, so you can do that too. Connie, welcome to the Empowered Wife Podcast. Thanks for being on with me today.
Thank you for having me.
So take us back to the beginning. What were things like in your marriage in the battle days?
So it was a long time ago. I've been married 17 years. So in the beginning, my husband, of course, in the beginning, right when we got married the first year, I felt like, everything was great. But then slowly I realized that my husband started avoiding me. He was on his computer a lot, on his phone a lot. I was angry all the time. I was always bothering him, when can we spend time? And you always, you never give me attention. And I was just like, I would walk past him while he was on his computer and just like give him angry looks and walk in an angry way and just try to make him see me and make him hear me and make him spend time with me. And the more I tried, the more I felt like he avoided me. It just didn't work.
Yeah. So were you thinking like, there's just something wrong with him, or I married the wrong man, or how did you explain this to yourself?
I was very angry at him and I felt like he was selfish, only cared about himself, didn't care about me, didn't love me anymore, didn't appreciate me. Yeah, I felt like it was his fault and his issue.
Yeah. So what did you do to try to solve this? It's not because it sounds really lonely and painful.
I cried a lot. I would speak to a lot of my friends and, cry how my husband's always on his phone and his computer and he doesn't care about me. I would cry to him. I would call him all the time at work and try to get his attention. I would say, do you even love me anymore? I would ask him to do chores all the time to try to get him to be off of his computer. So I would say, I needed to do this, I needed to do that. And I was constantly giving him ideas of what to do so that I could control and make him be off his phone and his computer, because if he was doing this or doing that, then he wouldn't be on his phone and his computer. And then he would say no, and then I would get mad at that. And it was just a constant cycle of me trying to control that he doesn't be on his phone and his computer so that he could pay attention to me, and just did not work at all. I was
Yeah.
angry and he was annoyed.
Yeah, I bet. So did you try reading books or going to marriage counseling, or what else? What did you do to try
I
to?
tried to force him to go to marriage counseling, but he wasn't interested. I tried to force him to read books, and I would say, I'll just start reading and you'll tell me when it's enough. We'll just do a little. And after the first word, he would say, enough. I would I would like read these books that said, the man has to do this and you have to express yourself like this to the men. So I would try. I would say, it's very important that it says in this book that, we have to go on dates, we have to do this, we have to do that. And I would say, oh, just listen to this part, just listen. I could tell he wasn't interested, but I would just force him to listen anyways and read it quickly or read it fast or leave it open on the table for him to see it. And I was constantly looking for ways of what to do to tell him of how he should change so that I could be happier.
And did it ever result in him like listening and then gazing into your eyes and then coming over to like dip you back for a passionate kiss and say, I love you more than anyone's ever loved anyone, and I'm so sorry I've been neglecting you? Did that ever
Never.
happen? Not once, huh? All right.
The exact opposite.
Just checking. All right. Didn't work for me either, but
Yeah.
hope springs eternal. So was there a moment when you just said, you know what, I can't go on like this. Like this, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life in this miserable state.
You know what? I remember feeling one day, oh my gosh, my husband doesn't love me anymore. And I called him on the phone and I said to him, I don't feel like you love me. Do you even love me anymore? And he actually came home from work and we were both crying. And in that moment, I just felt like, I can't fix this. Like, he felt really bad. I felt really bad. He was shocked that I felt like he didn't love me anymore. I could tell that he was hurting, but I didn't know what was wrong and I didn't know how to fix it. I just knew that I didn't feel like he loved me anymore and it devastated him. And I didn't know what to do.
Wow. Were you thinking about divorce at all?
I was hoping that we would go to marriage counseling, that he would change. I never got to a place where I gave up. I just thought that he's going to change and things will get better somehow. I didn't fully give up because I was too controlling, I think, to even think of giving up, because I just thought if I just try one more thing, if I just try harder, if I just get mad louder, like, I never really was like, you know what, nothing's working. There must be something different I could do. I just thought I just have to try harder.
Yeah. Well, I relate to you so much, Connie. I think we are cut from the same cloth. So, all right. So what did happen?
Somebody told me about your book and I checked you up online and I saw that you also gave some free like webinars, and I started listening to them and I read your book and I was shocked. It opened my eyes. Every single thing that the book said not to do, I did. And it opened my eyes as to what was going on and my part and why my husband was acting the way he was acting. And it just changed my entire view on the situation. And I realized, wow, I have the power to take care of myself. I have the power to make myself happy, and I don't have to try to control him anymore. I can take care of myself. And through that, things would change. And I was excited and I was scared and I didn't know if I could do it or how I was going to do it. But I had hope for the first time that there was something that was in my control to do. And I didn't have to try to force someone else to do something that clearly I couldn't.
Yeah. So sounds like a mixture of shock and excitement and hope and relief. What did you do first that was different than what you had been doing?
Yeah, so I remember that I knew that I shouldn't control, but I couldn't help myself. And one thing I would do is whenever I was exhausted, I would rest. You know, I have 4 kids, so if I had a baby, I wanted to go lay down. But I would hear the way my husband was treating the kids, and I would scream from the room what he should do different, or I would run out of the room and say, "No, do it this way, do it that way. Why are you saying it this way?" And I remember I knew that I shouldn't, but I knew that I wouldn't be able to control myself. So I had a noisemaker. And when I would go to my room, I would put it on really loud so that I wouldn't hear, so that there's no way that I would be able to control because I would be oblivious to what was going on. And I knew that that was the only way that I could keep my mouth shut.
What a great strategy. So you really thought about this. You had a game plan,
Yeah.
a structure to help yourself be accountable for just taking care of Connie, just getting that rest and trusting your husband to take care of the kids just while you were napping and do it
Yes.
his way. So how did he respond to that? Or did he notice even?
I don't remember, you know, there was a specific moment that he noticed, but eventually I just started seeing changes. I started seeing that I was happier, he was happier, he started noticing me more, and I just felt better about things. But I don't know if it was like a moment that I noticed. It took time, you know, for him to trust and also for me to let go of all my years of controlling. It was kind of slow as I learned to do it and took a lot of time and practice. So I don't know if it was just, you know, in a moment. Um, but yeah, over time, I
Yeah.
started to notice. I think it was just eventually I was like, wow, I love my husband. He's amazing. Wow. He's helping more. He's kind. He's paying attention to me. Wow. Like, what's going on?
Wow. Wow. Amazing. So was there a moment that you thought, okay, this is really working? I mean, you definitely got to that place where you're like, I love my husband, he's paying attention to me. But was there a spot along the way during the journey that you kind of got like, oh my gosh, we're getting somewhere here.
Yeah. I used to leave. I'm the type of person that needs a lot of alone time. And so I used to, you know, leave my husband with the kids and he would call me all the time. What should I make them for dinner? You know, what clothes should I put them in? And in the beginning, I would tell him. And then he started calling me and I started saying, whatever you think. And he would say, fine, I guess I'll just give them chocolate for dinner. I would say, okay, sounds great. Whatever you think. And then one time I went out and he didn't call me at all. And I came home and the kids were bathed and ready for bed. And he had made an amazing dinner for them. And he was telling me about it. And I saw that he started to trust himself and realize that he didn't have to ask me. And the reason why he would ask me is because I would always blame him. Why is she wearing this? Why did you give them this for dinner? So, you know, he felt like he had to ask me or I would punish him. So when he started trusting that I wasn't going to get mad at him, he felt comfortable to make great decisions and I would appreciate it. And it worked out perfect.
Wow. Okay, you make that sound really easy. When you're a mom of four and your husband's saying, fine, I'm going to give him chocolate for dinner. That's kind of a terrifying moment, right? How did you find the courage to do that?
You know what? I knew, I think that it was going to take time. And I think that, you know, reading your books and reading what other people had to say, I realized that it was going to take time for him to trust and that, of course, there was going to be backlash. And I think that I expected it. And I don't know, I must have heard from you that to expect that and to expect that it's not going to be overnight and that there might be pushback and just no matter what, to just say, okay, whatever you think every time. So I think, yeah, I was prepared to do that. And I was expecting that it wasn't going to be simple and easy and that, you know, change is confusing for people, but I was ready for that and was ready to just do it anyway.
Wow. Well, you sound like you were super courageous to me, Connie. That does not, there's so many women that'll never find the courage to say, even just whatever you think about feeding the kids, right? They're your babies, right? You want them to have nutritious food or certain things. So, anyway, I find that very brave and inspiring. Sounds like you really went in with this mindset. You knew what you were going to do in advance when he called and said, what should I feed the kids? You already had a whatever you think at the ready.
Exactly. I prepared myself and knew he was going to call. And same thing when he would take the kids out. I used to pack all the snacks and diapers and tell him not to forget. And then I decided, I'm not going to. And that might mean that he'll call me and say, they have a dirty diaper. And I would say, oops, And the next time, eventually, he stopped asking me and he prepared snacks for them, or he asked me to help him prepare snacks, and he took diapers and everything because I allowed him to take responsibility and trusted that he could figure it out. And it was such a relief to me that I don't need to run around trying to make sure that he has it all figured out. He's a very capable guy and he's a smart person. And I was enabling him to not think for himself and do things for himself and making myself exhausted by running around trying to control that he knows what he's doing.
So relinquishing control was a big part of the puzzle piece for you of fixing your marriage from where it was, it sounds like.
Definitely.
And what about this issue of him being on the computer or his phone all the time? How's that now?
So I have learned to ask for my needs so very clearly instead of getting angry. So I will say to him, I'd love to talk to you. And he'll say, okay, you can talk while he's on his phone. And I'll say, I'd love to talk to you without your phone. So just let me know when it's a good time. And sometimes he'll say, oh, I'm just going to finish something here and then I'll talk to you. And I'll say, great. And sometimes he'll say, oh, okay. And he'll put his phone away. There's no judgment. There's no anger. I just tell him what I need and give him the space. And he is happy to do it. And there's no issue at all.
Wow, what a difference from
I
angry
know.
Connie walking past him and probably rolling your eyes or sighing or or worse,
Exactly.
right? Saying things, undignified things to your
I didn't
husband,
know that I
probably.
could ask for what I need. I had no idea.
No one ever taught you, right? I mean,
Exactly.
no one ever taught me either. So what would you say to old Connie now, Connie from before, that you want her to know, that you know now?
I would want her to know that she's loved exactly as she is and that all she has to do is take care of herself and love herself and ask for her needs and she'll get whatever she wants. And that her husband adores her and loves her and wants to make her happy. And I just need to give him the chance and give him respect and kindness and love like everyone deserves. And then he'll give it to me because he has it in him, but that I shut him down by my anger and controlling ways and make it hard for him to be able to be his loving self. So I don't have to worry about changing him. I just have to worry about taking care of myself.
And truly, you didn't know this before, right? If you had known, you'd be doing what you're doing now, it sounds like.
I had no idea. No one ever taught me, and I didn't really see any examples of that. So I had absolutely no idea.
And tell us a little more about what your marriage is like now that you do know this.
Oh my gosh. I adore my husband. Like, I tell him every single day how much I love him and adore him. He is kind and loving. He I go out all the time in the evenings, on Sunday mornings because I like to take time alone, and he's happy to watch the kids. He compliments me all the time. If he doesn't compliment me and I want a compliment, I just will say out loud that I'm proud of myself for something, and then he'll notice. Like if I make dinner and worked really hard on it, I'll just say, I worked really hard on dinner to make a dinner for you and spent a lot of hours. And he'll say, wow, thank you. Instead of me waiting for him to compliment me, I'll just tell him. And then he gives me what I want. He won't realize that the house is clean and I used to be so mad. But now I'll just say, I cleaned the house because I wanted to have a clean house for you and the kids. And he'll say, thank you. That means so much to me. Like, I don't have to beg for what I want. I just say what I need, say what I want, and he's happy to do it. If he hurts my feelings, I don't have to explain to him how and why and what I need. I just have to say, ouch, that was hurtful, and walk away. If I need more space, I just say, I love you and I care about you. I just need more space and I'll let you know when I'm ready. And he's respectful and understanding and he'll hug me after. And, for the first time ever, actually, my husband is not so emotional. And I always thought that, like, okay, I just have to live with the fact that he's not emotionally aware and that I just can't share emotions with him. But recently, I would say just in the past 6 months, I started to realize that he actually really loves to support me emotionally. I just didn't let him because I would shoot him down or I would yell at him if he didn't answer in the way I wanted to him or hear me in the way I wanted him. And now all I have to do is say what I need. I have to say, I'd love to just be heard. Is it okay if I share something with you just to be heard? It makes me feel happy just to know that I can share something with you. And he'll say, okay. And he doesn't necessarily get it or why, but it doesn't matter. It's like, it makes me feel good that he's willing to go out of his comfort zone to listen to me because he loves me, as opposed to trying to get him to understand it the way I do. He's a guy. It's okay. Like, do you know what I mean? And I'm learning to say also, it's okay that we see it differently and I still respect and love you. I used to think that he had to see everything the way that I saw it. And the more that I respect him, the more that he respects me. Just last week, I was amazed because generally he used to have like a big temper with the kids and I used to try to control it. But what I started doing is when I feel like I'm going to get really mad at him or the kids, I say, I'm really overwhelmed right now and I don't want to let it out on you guys. So I'm going to go journal and go to my room and talk to you later. And for the first time, he said to me, Connie, I'm really like angry right now at one of our kids and I don't want to yell at them. He said, like, make sure I don't yell at them. I said, oh, well, I trust that you'll figure it out. Like I can't control you, but, and he did not yell at him. And later he came up to me and he told me he apologized to my son for losing it at him. I was shocked because in the past, I would tell him, you have to apologize. And he would never. He would say, he would get mad and say, I don't need to apologize. They shouldn't act that way. And by me leading by example and taking care of myself, automatically, it's been years later and I didn't know that I would ever get that. I just thought I had to accept it. But actually, it's becoming who he is. And I become so emotional watching him with my kids. Like, he's just such a loving husband and such an amazing, amazing father. And I just like my heart is full of love and gratitude for what an amazing guy he is. Like he would do anything for me. It makes him so happy to make me happy. And he just thinking of him like lights up my life.
Wow, I get emotional just hearing about the transformation at your house with the way he shows up as a dad, it sounds like. And I just love this part about him just being willing to listen. Maybe he doesn't get it, but he just loves his wife. He just wants to be of service to his wife. It's so
Yes,
sweet. He sounds like a wonderful guy.
he really is.
Is this the same guy we were talking about earlier that was always on his computer and his phone and that you thought
Exactly.
didn't love you? Same guy. Okay. So, what is your advice to someone who there's a woman listening and she's thinking, that is my husband. He just ignores me. He wants nothing to do with me. Where should she start? What's your tip for her?
What I realized is, well, with my husband and in all my relationships, is that a lot of times my own issues appear to be the person in front of me, but it's about taking care of my feelings and my emotions and honoring them. So if I'm frustrated, it's like, what am I frustrated about? And how do I take care of that? And the more that I work on what do I need? If I'm angry, like maybe I need to go journal, talk to a friend, go hiking, go in nature. How do I calm myself down? Is this a trigger from my past that I need to give myself love about? So many times I was so mad at my husband because what he was doing reminded me of something from my past. And I had to deal with that and heal my little girl inside of me, because if I didn't, I would never look at him like I would be so mad at him because it so I guess my advice would be any emotions that come up, instead of blaming the other person, look inside and take care of it. And whatever you need to take care of yourself, do that. And automatically, by me healing myself, by people healing themselves, other relationships get healed because of that. No amount of telling them or controlling them or trying to make someone else change ever works. But if I can change myself and I can work on myself, automatically clarity comes in my other relationships.
Wow. So it sounds like this has affected not just your marriage, but maybe other relationships in your life.
100%. I mean, with my kids, I used to, when my kids didn't listen, I would be so angry at them and I felt like I wanted to scream at them. And then when I started walking away and was like, why do I want to yell at them? I realized I I was scared because I was yelled at as a kid when I didn't listen. So I needed them to be quiet so that I didn't have to feel uncomfortable. That's not their job. I needed to calm myself down, take care of my emotions, and then I could be loving to them. My feelings are not their fault and have nothing to do with them. If I can't control myself, it's because of something inside of me. And so, yeah, taking care of myself and self care and being a loving mother to myself and giving myself what I need helped me be the loving person I wanted, because I realized that I can't give what I don't have. So if I want to give something, if I want to be loving to my kids and I don't love myself, I can't. If I want to be patient to my kids and I'm not patient with myself, I can't. So instead of me trying to read all these books, how do I be a better wife? How do I be a better mother? Look inside myself and give myself and heal myself what I need, and automatically I'm going to treat people the way I treat me. And that's what clearly has happened, and it's just so amazing every time. It just brings me so much joy and happiness, and takes a huge load off my shoulder that I don't have to try so hard. All I have to do is take care of myself, and everything else. When I am in a good energy, my kids listen, my kids are happy, they don't fight, my husband's happy. I could be repeating every single thing a book says and be doing every single thing a book says, but if it's with angry or annoyed energy, forget it. It's not about so much what I do, it's about how I feel inside, and it's about my energy. So when I go to the beach now almost every day and take a few hours to myself and nurture myself, listen to music, whatever I need, I am giving the biggest gift to my family, because then when I come home, by saying not a word, just by my energy, they want to be around me. They want to talk to me. And when I don't take care of myself, I used to feel guilty, like I have to be home, but then I was angry and annoyed. Forget it. They don't want to be around me.
No.
So I guess my long answer would be self-care, self-healing, and giving myself what I want to be.
I love this piece too. It's like before you even say a word, like your kids are just attracted to you, right? Or your husband, they're all just like, oh, there she is, right? You don't have to say anything. Like your energy precedes you. And when you're showing up with that calm, joyful energy after you've been at the beach and had some solitude, everyone's attracted to that. So, how would you say this has impacted your kids? You transforming your marriage like this?
Oh my gosh, so much. I mean, like the energy between my husband and I is very calm and loving. The other day, I was having a disagreement with my husband, not an argument because we don't argue so much, but we don't really argue, but a disagreement. And I asked my son was like smiling. I asked my son, like, do me and dad ever fight? And he was like, no, sometimes you disagree, but you never fight. And I feel like it just brings harmony into the home. I feel like my kids feel very happy, and they're very well adjusted, and they're very confident. And I think that not having tension in the home creates a peace that was not here in the beginning. My kids were much more agitated. I have a lot of siblings, and they would always say, honey, we'll watch anyone's kids but yours. and now they're like, your kids are the easiest kids.
Wow. So
my entire house transformed. My kids, my husband. I mean, I'm attracted to anything that is similar to your approach. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of like the nurtured heart approach, but it's the same thing. It's just like focusing on the positive. And it's so true. Like just focusing on what's going right, focusing on the positive, instead of trying to change anyone, find it when it's already there and it'll grow. Whatever we focus on grows. Just completely transformed my family.
Wow. Well, you are a shiny, glowing, amazing example of what is possible. And you have a beautiful smile. And you can't stop smiling, really, throughout this whole smiling and happy. So it's very evident you have that goddess of fun and light appeal. I'm sure your husband finds that really attractive, too. So congratulations on all that you've accomplished for your marriage and for your whole family.
Thank you. And thank you so much for all your wisdom, because it changed my life completely. And I'm so grateful to you.
That's great to hear. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
If you're wondering how to get started with fixing your relationship and making it shiny again, then you need a roadmap. Get 6 simple steps to follow that will set your relationship up for success. Discover 3 common mistakes that wives make trying to fix their relationship that just make things worse when you download my free Adored Wife Roadmap. You can do that at getcherished.com. Go to getcherished.com now to get your roadmap in minutes. And now it's time for the Worst Relationship Advice of the Week award.
It's the worst relationship advice of the worst relationship advice. Yeah, it's the worst relationship advice of the worst relationship advice of the week.
And the advice I find most deplorable this week is from an article in a well-known publication with this headline: a review of 174 studies concluded this is the most important quality for happy relationships. And that headline intrigued me. I wanted to know what the quality was. I bet you want to know too, right? Because if we knew what the quality was, we could cultivate it. And then we could unlock the mystery of having happy relationships. And okay, happy relationships don't seem so mysterious to me anymore, but they did in the bad old days when I was so thirsty to find the wisdom that this headline promises. So I guess I went back in time, metaphorically, when I read this headline and remembered how hopeful I felt to read things like that, only to be crushed when I read the article and found out that the elusive best quality that you absolutely need, according to 174 indisputable ironclad studies, is, you ready? Here it is. Here's the single characteristic you need, according to this article: psychological flexibility. That's it, folks. Psychological flexibility. I take that to mean that you should be able to do the emotional splits, perhaps, or at least be able to touch your psychic toes without bending your knees. At least that's what I assume psychological flexibility means, because who the heck has ever heard of the characteristic of psychological flexibility? Dude, you just made that stuff up. That is not a freaking characteristic. That is gobbledygook. And you may be thinking, well, sure, but, the author explains what that means in the rest of the article, right? No! She references a couple of vacuous cliches like the ability to roll with the emotional punches and to be mindfully aware of the present moment. Ooh. And I get so mad when experts provide gobbledygook as the thing you need to have for a happy marriage, because what I remember is that when you're really hurting, it's super disappointing and frustrating to get a big bag of hot air instead of real answers for how to get out of pain and get the passion and the playfulness you're craving. Characteristics and qualities, as you know, are things like patience, gentleness, kindness, self-control, also courage, commitment, integrity, humility, faith, accountability. And I've certainly had the experience where cultivating some of these qualities, not because I wanted to be more virtuous, mind you, but because I just wanted my husband to stop ignoring me and pay some attention, cultivating some of these qualities did improve my marriage leaps and bounds. And funny thing, they also made me like myself more and increased my confidence and helped me learn how to best take care of myself. So the funny thing was that having no escape from my miserable marriage, except for the possibility of an embarrassing divorce, forced me to become my best self, kind of against my will. I mean, if anyone was waiting for me to just improve myself voluntarily, I think we'd still be waiting. But pain is a great motivator. It's a great teacher. And that pain opened the door to a fantastic journey of self-discovery and self-development that I am so grateful for. And cultivating some of those qualities made my marriage shiny and amazing. But psychological flexibility, that hasn't come up ever. For that reason, the advice that psychological flexibility is the most important quality for happy relationships is the very worst relationship advice I've heard all week. Listen and subscribe to the Empowered Wife podcast. Next week, we'll talk about 3 ways to make marriage fun again. In the meantime, I hope you're having lots of fun. Today's fun fact is that my husband put on the movie Lawrence of Arabia last night, even though I said I did not want to watch it, and I secretly liked it. Do not tell him. I'll never admit it.